just open the floodgates. Everybody can pop in. We are still 5 till. Glad to have you guys on board. Feel free to unmute your mic. This is a roundtable session. So we'll just be chatting. We have not a whole lot of official content planned. Aside from a welcome, we'll do it on the hour. And that it's about IT documentation, IT glue automation specifically. Tracy and I were just lamenting about how hard it is to share IT glue with everybody because our data is in there.
Yep, we're just gonna have to get a demo account.
And Tracy, I talked to Lewis. He made a recommendation to create a single user that only has rights to one organization, and for the organization to have no real data in it, and then you could still show your flexible asset structure and that type of thing in there.
Yeah, also have to pay for that license. Kind of yucky.
How convenient for IT glue, huh?
Yeah, it is. I have to look. I have to see. I think all my licenses are in use. And I think they just downgraded my license too. Yeah, I have a couple of light or read-only licenses, which don't count against me.
Right. Well, that would work too for demo purposes.
I don't think you would see all the options though. They're light. You're not going to be able to get all the options.
It would be really hard to show automation stuff, but for other types of demo activity, showing data, search features, that kind of thing.
Maybe. I have never had a light account, so I don't know how much they get access to.
Got it.
Then I have to make the account outside of my domain, which is not impossible. I have other email accounts to tie it to. I don't know. I'd have to set one up.
What's other exciting news that Karen and Scott can see? Hear us talk about what's exciting. I've been using the heck out of Bright Gauge lately.
IT Glue's had some exciting announcements.
Yeah, what's so exciting about them? I mean, like, what'd they say?
Did you go to the conference?
I did not. I did not go to the conference.
Oh, I thought you had all that lined out.
I didn't get the final stuff that I needed in time for last minute trips. I didn't go.
Okay. What was it? Shoot, Ronnie came in and told me what the new announcements were.
Where's Ronnie at? Have him on the call.
I have him working. If I'm not working, somebody has to work.
Yeah, somebody has to. Welcome, Jason. Everybody, we're going to do the official start in just a minute or two. I'll again give you the heads up. Encourage you to unmute your microphone whenever possible. This is a conversation style today. There is almost no presentation planned. We're counting on you guys to help provide the content and questions. I hope that doesn't backfire on me. Maybe it's more appropriate to say this part now before everybody joins. I see some chats. I see a hello from Karen and Jason. I was told from my office and my colleagues that there's no such thing as a man cold in this office. Therefore, I sound funny and I'm here anyways, not complaining.
Yes, there are some cool new features for IT Glue. One of the cool things, and we have talked about this before, is the image upload. So through the app on your phone, you can take pictures and upload them directly into your IT Glue, because that's one of the things I like to do is take pictures of clients' equipment in wiring rooms and make it part of my documentation.
All right, well, that's a great tip, and I'm going to call that automation. So let me do the official kickoff, launch, start. It's right on the hour. So welcome everybody. This webinar series is put on by the IT Documentation Users Group. It is about, this month, it is about IT Glue automation. It's a roundtable, so it's for everybody to participate. Thank you all for joining, but it is a roundtable, so if you get a chance, unmute your mic, use the chat feature because we have no content planned except for the category. I took 2 snapshots to kind of share if we have questions. So hoping you guys can help out. I have just a couple of brief slides to give you the basics about us. I'm sure the screen share is working, or Tracy would have complained by now.
You're good.
And guys, even if you have something to share on your screen, I can make you a co-admin. Keep it super informal if you need to share something. So be prepared. A little bit about IT Documentations Group. We lovingly call it ITDUG. We recently rebranded it from the original ITDoc to ITDUG because we started using that word. If you ever want to post about it on Facebook, you can use the @ITDUG, and it will automatically fill in IT Documentation Users Group with a hyperlink. Tracy originally founded this back in May of 2018 to try to get some tips and tricks on IT Glue. She was willing to share what she had known, which she confesses was not much. Actually, Tracy, do you want to take it away with the rest of the slide?
I think you just about said it all.
I
started the group because there was nothing out there. And it's so important to have your documentation if you plan to scale your company or sell your company, or if you plan to take a vacation one day. So I didn't see anything out there, so I created a group. I created it around IT Glue to begin with. Then I quickly realized that no matter what your platform, documentation is the same challenge across all platforms. So I just renamed it to IT Documentation User Group, and we got a lot more people involved. And now it really doesn't matter what your tool is. Of course, we're doing a deep dive into IT Glue, but it doesn't matter what your tool is. There's documentation is a challenge.
And check out our membership growth this year. We breached 1,000 users earlier this month, and just zoomed right past 1,100 as of this morning. I always like to encourage membership for no other selfish reason than more brains to answer our questions. Tracy, I just noticed this week we've actually had several new posts from other members.
Mm-hmm.
Almost all not even about IT Glue, which is great. I love having participation. Great link, Karen, on our Jason's commenting on our turnaround come April. 2 things. ITO Compass was definitely a start, but I also feel like that 500 mark puts you in a different level of search algorithm in Facebook. Because you're right, we accelerated then. And Tracy noticed the same thing when you hit, what, 200 was it last year?
Yeah, 200 was a mark.
200, I think we finally showed up in any searches. And 500, we must be ranking.
Yeah.
And I've also consciously been promoting the group in anything that I do, because I figure even when I'm marketing myself, and like, if I can't help you, go to the ITDUG because I'll see you again.
Something else that's interesting is we are attracting a lot of people who work for IT companies, not MSPs.
Yes, internal IT, education.
A lot of people.
Worldwide as well.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And I'm glad to have the difference of perspective. Little about me and why I get involved. Tracy, I guess, didn't mention was on the slide. You know, she is an MSP looking to improve her documentation. I used to own an MSP, ran a few others, and then I founded Eureka Process, which specializes in process consulting for IT firms. And of course, I find the secret to process is to document your decisions, which could be anywhere from technical SOPs to how you run your business. So I love the fact that Tracy asked me to co-admin this group with her. Documentation is near and dear to my heart. So let's just get into it. I'm just going to leave this slide up so our video is not my giant head the whole time. IT Glue has automation features. I'm wondering what questions you guys have or what things you have done to make things happen. Just because I will try to be a good steward and bring up a few things. I took 2 screenshots today showing some very basic stuff. Let's see if I can actually get these to load. I was learning I had to do screenshots instead of showing live data, so I didn't reveal customer data. Inside IT Glue, there are workflows. You can see a couple of common ones here. There are not many. One obvious one is configuration expirations. Any flexible asset or configuration that has an official expiration date field type can be used to trigger an action. There aren't many actions except for email or webhook or Slack channel update, which is a specialized form of webhook. I've seen done twice now with 2 of our clients is any change to an SOP, a document, they actually post it into a Slack channel called documentation so that people can see what's changing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and in one of those cases, during our service meeting every week, we look at the documentation channel at all the changes, and we ask anybody, is there any of these, as a reminder what's changed, that you would like to update everybody else on or ask a question about, so we can make sure people stay advised in what's changing in Glue. Brian and Dan are discussing their use of LionGuard's Roar. I would love to hear more about that. If any of you guys are able to unmute your mic and talk about it, and while y'all are figuring that out, I also invited Tim Schuing of LabTech Expert to this call. I know he's been playing with some API updates to IT Glue, nothing official, but I would just love to hear about what types of things we're thinking about we can do, what's useful, what's not useful, what do we wish could happen. Somebody take it away.
I like to hear them talk about how they're leveraging Roar. As I saw LionGuard at DevCon.
Looking at the chats, everybody's asking, no one's using it. Is anybody using Roar right now?
I think Dan said he was using Roar, but all I've done is I've just seen a demo, which I was pretty impressed with.
Tell us a little bit about the demo, Brian.
So the demo, I mean, they'll hook into Office 365. They'll hook into your whole network, and they basically create all their own flexible assets, which they then keep up to date, and they leave a collector on the network, which like basically keeps your documentation up to date on, and they pick up like configurations and network configurations and Office 365, and like I mean, it's been a while now, and I'm not actively in it, so I don't remember everything I could do. But when I looked at it, I was like, oh my god, this looks awesome. But I'm like, I think the minimum buy-in was like $170 a month US, and I just don't have that right now. So.
And do you recall that, was that price scalable, or is that kind of an all-in price?
Yeah, no, it was basically so 170 was for 10 companies, and then it's like basically $17 per company per month.
Got it.
Above 10.
And Dan, you're using this, so maybe you can weigh in best of all on Roar. I want to say I've also seen a demo of it, and a concern that I had, not that it's found it or not, was too much data in IT Glue. So suddenly you have data that Roar's put in, you have your own data with other fields. Has anybody experienced that or saw that as a potential issue in their demo? And Dan, I see you super active in chat, so maybe you're not able to weigh in. Dan was also asking about Hoodoo Magic. I have never heard of this. I am pulling it up on my screen. Thank goodness this wasn't an adult site, because I just clicked it.
It was in response. An employee of Hoodoo Magic put it in response to someone saying that they couldn't afford IT Glue for a one user shop.
Right.
To which a bunch of us replied like, well, IT Glue actually allows you to have one user now, and they're actually currently, if you sign on for 3 years, waiving the onboarding fee and this, that, and the other thing. But yeah, this guy popped in Hoodoo Magic, so I haven't.
And I will just add, Tracy or I can refer you to IT Glue, and they will waive the onboarding fee too. That's their leverage point, is what I have found. Dan's having audio issues, looking for a computer guy. If any of y'all know of one. Yeah, I know Enterprise, they moved it to a different pricing model to try to make it more affordable. They still jacked the price up for it though.
Yeah, but then what I did is I went to I'm a one-man shop, and so I went for the one at 79 because I was at 5 at 19, and so I'm still ahead of the game,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then on Black Friday last year, they did triple your seats for $20. So now I'm paying 99 for 3 seats.
Wow.
Oh, very good. And that's
so
perpetual?
You get deals like that too.
And anybody recall the show specials IT Glue had from GlueX last week?
I thought they were all around MyGlue. Did they do something for IT Glue as well?
It's all IT Glue. It's just MyGlue is a different product, right?
I remember I talked to one of the IT Glue salesmen, and they were doing some big special about IT Glue plus Rapid Fire.
Right. I do recall seeing that bundle. They had a couple of third-party tool bundles where if you bought them separately, it cost the normal price, and together with IT Glue, I assume IT Glue is becoming a reseller of these products?
Well, they're all owned by Kaseya, right?
Okay, yeah, and IT Glue plus ID Agent was one of the bundles.
Yeah, all owned by Kaseya.
I get it. Tim Schuing, are you with us? That's slacker.
I am, and I just realized I was muted.
I had heard you were playing with some API type stuff with IT Glue. Are you able to expand on any of that?
Yeah, so I'm working on a plugin. It's actually for ConnectWise Automate to sync data between Automate and IT Glue. So it's not IT Glue specific in that it'll be a standalone tool, but it'll basically allow you to get data from Automate into Glue. I really like the line guard idea, but I didn't like the line guard pricing. So I kind of went about doing something else. And I mean, the plugin development for Automate is something I've been doing for years, as you know, but, not really just winging it here. But the way that it'll work is that you can have it collect various pieces of information on WebRoot, Malwarebytes, and your users from Active Directory plugin and things like that, and get it synced in to IT Glue so that you have those configurations available, those flexible assets available. And then that way you're able to see it all within the IT Glue portal. And of course it stays updated as well. And then it also does two-way password sync. So any passwords that you've got within IT Glue can be brought into Automate and then synchronized both ways. And not that it's just available as a tab within Automate, but it'll sync within your regular password section so that you've got access to it via scripts or however else that you want to utilize those.
So, now, does that require the enterprise edition of IT Glue? Because you need API access?
It does, because enterprise is required for API access. Yeah.
And I don't know who else in the room is using or even comfortable with APIs. I mean, I can spell it. What is an API? Is it passing URLs back and forth?
The way that it communicates back and forth is through the API. It's just a REST API. So the plugin takes the needed information and passes along back and forth. So it's not, it's not like anybody has any configuration or anything to do other than basically you enter in your API key that you retrieve from IT Glue's website, and then you'll tell it what all you want it to continually sync, and then the plugin does the rest.
And can that update existing flexible assets that you've created?
Not as of yet, but that is kind of in the works. I've seen some interest in doing that, so that's probably going to come along as well, to where if you've got an existing flexible asset, or rather than being stuck with the flexible assets that I provide, being able to adjust those a little bit to bring in custom data or to rearrange that data so that you're not getting chunk you don't care about. So
what type of skills does it take for people like me to automate and customize IT Glue like that?
Well, it's the plugin that's doing all the work. So the only skill again required is just tell the plugin your API key and check some boxes to say what you want to sync. Pretty easy.
Okay. And for those who can find the chat button, there's 3 dots. It might be orange. Dan's been posting all those IT Glue specials up there, as well as a bunch of other questions as well. I'm just going to keep rattling off ideas. Anybody can steal the floor. Go ahead, Tim.
Dan, the tool, it's the plugin that I built does it all in the back end via Automate. So it's a plugin that works within Automate that does all the work during the Automate normal sync processes that run every 6 minutes and midnight and 3 a.m. So at those various times, the different syncs occur.
So, and Tim, this is something you're writing like in code?
Yeah, it's the plugin. Actually, if you'd like, feel free to, if you want to make me presenter, I can show what I've got so far.
If no one objects, I don't mind. Let's see. Make co-host. Controls are yours. Don't abuse it.
Do that.
Suddenly, Tim boots everybody out. You have some cheerleaders who want to see this, so don't mess up, Tim.
Who, me? I never do that. All right. So yeah, like I said, it's just right here under Automate. We've got
so far, what I'm seeing is Tropical Cyclone Jerry.
Oh, we're sharing the wrong screen. Why'd you do that? There we go. And glued. So under the tools menu, there's a new button there, glued, which just brings this up. And like I said, it's a piece of cake to configure. You punch in your key and your API key and set your organization, check some boxes to tell it what you actually want it to sync, and then it just starts doing it automatically. And then of course you can map your clients to your IT Glue organizations to make sure everything goes to the right place.
And so Glue has in your account settings in Glue, your API key doesn't show up unless you have enterprise.
Correct. Yeah, you can't generate it or anything else like that. So it'd just be available there.
Okay.
And then, so once that's done, like I said, it does start syncing various data over. So one of the things that it'll sync over is your scripts. It'll back those up. So if somebody goes and messes it up, you can restore. And of course, with Glue's versioning, that means that if somebody edits, multiple times or whatever, you're always able to restore back to one that's worked. It'll retrieve network shares that you got on various computers and permissions for that. Your network devices that are picked up by the network probe, users from Active Directory, which I don't have any in this environment, malware bytes, web root data as well. So all that gets brought in. And then finally, we've also got two-way password sync. So you come over here to the password section, tell it which passwords you want it to sync, and it will regularly sync them and bring them over to your password section.
And curiously, is anybody using Automate? I still think these are great ideas for at least capability that is deep under the hood for any system.
I am.
I don't see any comments yet. I see a Datto task.
I'm sorry to hear that, Dan.
And Continuum. I had made a vow that if I was starting an MSP in 2016, I would have used Continuum, and then I changed my mind later. SolarWinds.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for the presentation, Tim.
Yep, that too.
It shows there's possibilities out there. I wonder if there's a market coming for more people creating these types of third-party tools that just work with IT Glue without having to associate directly with IT Glue, just using the API calls. Has anybody heard of a marketplace or anything like for that?
I know that IT Glue is trying to make that happen because they waived the onboarding fee for me in order for me to develop the plugin. I told them that I was looking to create it and I didn't want to pay the onboarding fee, and they basically said, okay, make the product, let us see that it kind of works, and we'll waive the onboarding fee.
All right. I mean, easy enough. That's something at least. Brian mentioned that there is a GitHub for this, which I'm barely familiar with the GitHub myself. I've checked it out, but it's pretty sparse. Tracy, you and I had started a conversation before everybody joined in regarding Glue Connect.
Oh.
I think we were debating on like, what is that?
Well, it is a way to, from just first glance, it's a way to invite other people to access your documentation. And the way, what they have now is they built out several, I got to find it again.
I'm on the pricing page and
I found it once.
Gives me a pop-up for it at least.
It allows you to bring in like third parties. For instance, if you have a third party group you're using for support, maybe they're doing tier 1 support for you, you can bring them into your Glue to see your documentation on your clients. And they have some built-in ones. Apparently, when I go to Glue Connect and hit new, there's 3 of them out there already for you, the big ones. GMS Live Expert, Mission Control, NOC and Help Desk Services, and the last one's InBay. And of course, you can also invite another IT Glue user through the invite account and bring them in if you're working with another company that already uses Glue. So it looks like a way of sharing your documentation with a party that's helping you support your clients.
All right. Another interesting side note, I am a member of multiple ITDUG Glue accounts because I'm a consultant to MSPs. And I'm attempting to share my screen. I don't know if I've been successful or not. Are you seeing my web page?
I see your GitHub.
Yeah, perfect. Somebody shared the links. I thought I'd just share it up there for everybody else. And what I found interesting about this, and I did not know this was possible. Even though I have an account on every instance, I don't have my own account. But when I log on, since I use the same username or password, I literally have access to all 3 instances, not at the same time, but I can go to my login name at the top right, and I can just change which company I'm in without having to log off and back on each time.
That's convenient.
It was convenient. It was an unintended consequence. I still have one client where I have an email address on their domain, which is now my problem child. It's not as convenient. So that was the GitHub. Tracy was talking about the Glue Connect. I was trying to find where you were reading at, Tracy.
Well, I was reading it.
All I found was this.
I logged into my IT Glue account and I just went over under in IT Glue. It's under account, then Glue Connect, and it's on the left side under account, at least in mine.
And Dan reports that despite Continuum not being in the integrations list, it is fully supported direct integration with IT Glue and Continuum and their NOC services. Wonder who you have to be friends with to get in that list then, huh? And Continuum uses IT Glue anyways for everybody internally. Other shares, hacks for IT Glue?
The new announcements we were talking about earlier, I found the rest of them.
So, all right, and Dan also posted them in the chat.
Oh, did he? You may have beat me to it.
Enterprise add-on for 5 extra license, bundles of IT Glue, bundles of ID Agent, bundles with rapid fire tools, a little discount on Network Glue.
No, something about the features. So we were talking earlier.
Yes, do share. Do you want to share your screen or?
No.
Okay.
Because it's not quite all on here. I remember some of them because I had this conversation with Ronnie earlier. One of the great features is the app on the phone. You can take pictures of data rooms and have it go directly into Glue, tie it directly to a client, so it's the image upload support.
I'm going to install the app right now.
Also, and I'm so glad they're doing this, you can now edit in the app Word and Excel documents. Well, I don't know if it's right now, but they're going to make it so that you don't have to have a separate copy of Office. So you can you can edit them live in the app itself. So that's a really big deal.
Yeah, I was told on the download a couple weeks before the conference that they were announcing that they have become an Office 365 storage partner.
That's how they're doing it. Yeah.
I don't know exactly all the details that means, but part of it was you would have Office Online available inside IT Glue. So you could do co-hosting, editing, which sounded amazing. I didn't know what else it meant. I also thought it might mean that they could store other types of documents in IT Glue, like PowerPoints, Word documents versus.
Yeah, I'd be real curious how that goes. Also, they're doing barcode scanning with your phone. So if you take a picture of the barcode while on site, the app will scan and identify the barcode with the associated asset tag or serial number and return the associated config automatically. That's pretty cool.
So you would have to print barcodes that equal the item ID in IT Glue?
Yeah, you would get barcode stickers and they have to be in Glue to begin with. So I wonder how if you can use your phone to get them in there quicker. Not sure. This is just like a little blurb. It's kind of vague. It says take a picture of a physical barcode while on site, but you got to put the stickers on. You got to get them into Glue first.
It's never as easy as advertised.
Yeah. I'm getting ready to barcode all my equipment for my company, and we were going to leverage it through Glue. So I'm kind of curious. I'm doing it more for accounting and for insurance purposes than I am for support. Just keeping track of all the assets in my company in case something happens to my building or something.
Yeah, and I have a client who just added an official labeling policy, a big push in their client onboarding process, so they've been improving. They were going round and round about to barcode to make it easy, and I've always wondered how often are we really in a position to scan the barcode, because I feel like we do so much remote work. I don't know if it was worth the effort.
Yeah, I agree. But with this, if you can use your phone to scan it while you're on site and it takes you right to the item.
What are you going to find out that's not there already? Because you're at the computer finally. You don't need.
Well, you may have access to the password there. You may have access to what port is supposed to be on the network, on the switch, specs.
So last time I did a survey, very few people use IT Glue for password storage, and no one allowed what they called integrated passwords as their company policy. Most people use a third party such as LastPass or Passportal for that. Anybody have trials and tribulations with password storage or reasons they don't do it in IT Glue? Is that getting better?
I store passwords in Glue. However, as individuals, we all use Passportal for our personal passwords. IT Glue is just for client passwords that we have to share.
Do you feel better about having that separation, client data versus your data, especially in a world of MSP targets and hacking?
That's not why I did it. I did it because Passportal just handles passwords so much better. And they have the two-factor authentication and the encryption or security phrase, and you can put it on in Chrome, plugs it in for you. I can track everything. And then we also resell the product to clients.
I've also had people who are ConnectWise shops with Passportal. For whatever reason, Passportal's integration into Screen Connect, which in turn is integrated into Manage and Automate, is phenomenal. I've had people choose not to consolidate to other documentation just because of the integration. Jason also mentions while we're talking passwords that KeyPass, he does keep his stored off the cloud and behind a VPN only. Another vote for passwords in IT Glue but never embedded. Well, why not embedded?
Yeah, really, I'm not sure.
I think it has to do with searchability. Not embedded because you can't control the permissions. I wonder if that also affects reportability.
Well, I kind of disagree with that, because if you can't get to the client, you can't see if you can't get to that particular client info, if you don't have permission to see the client, you won't see the device.
This is for me, for my clients. So I have I have, say the VP of operations has a guy who's like a power user, and he wants him to be able to get into IT Glue and see what the IP address of the switch is, but he doesn't want to have him to have the password for the switch. The problem is if you embed the password with the switch, if you have permission to see the switch, you have permission to see the password. So I never embed the passwords. I always make them a separate object and make them related so that I can control the access to the password separately from the access to the configuration.
Right now, with my staff, they all need access to those types of passwords.
Brian, what's the size of your team?
It's just me, and so
okay.
I use this. This is something I do purely because of how my clients want.
Got it.
Oh, I see.
And you're not the only one with that opinion, so I just wanted to hear it spelled out from others with why that is. So Dan also mentions Quick Pass integration that was recently added. Is anybody using that or familiar with that? Because I know nothing about that one.
I've seen the announcement, but I don't know anything about it.
Dan reports it was a little underwhelming, especially with Azure AD already allowing self-service password resets. Something Passportal has been doing as an add-on feature for a couple of years now as well. And Dan's looking at Password Boss, getting away from IT Glue as far as passwords go, due to it being Screen Connect integrated, MSP focused, and NFR to the reseller program. I am Dan's official translator, by the way.
You're doing a great job.
I know it's kind of hard to track chat windows and conversations and screen shares all at the same time. What else do we have? IT Glue automation. I actually had suspicions that this would be a light conversation. I saw a lot of topics about it, but as I was digging in, I thought the conversation that I saw about it was because, frankly, there's so little right now. I mean, I was all excited to dig into the IT Glue workflows option, and there's like 3 triggers and 3 actions, and that's it.
I know. I found that I went to the workflows. I was like, this is great. I'm like, well, at least I can do configurations expiring. But I'm like, other than that, I'm like, well, I don't see a whole lot of use for this.
Yeah, that Slack channel post is about the best use I've seen of it so far.
That's pretty cool.
Yes, Scott, you can absolutely ask an IT Glue noob question. Some of us are 5-year noobs. While he's posing his question. Yeah, so it was, Scott's on audio. Let's do it, Scott.
Hi. Thanks for hosting this. Can you hear me okay?
Sure can.
Okay, so during our demo with IT Glue, we did it a little while ago. One of our legacy documentation tools that we use is a spreadsheet for each client with rows 1 through 256, and then for every subnet we put what's the DHCP range, what's the static IPs, and I know that when you're in IT Glue you can create documentation for each device and put its IP address in. But when we asked, can you give us a summary of all the IPs in use on a network, so if a copier gets delivered and we need to assign it a static, we can just quickly pull that up. And I think we kind of stumped them looking at an entire spreadsheet from that direction. Does anybody have an answer for that, or did I not ask the question right when I was on the demo?
That's sort of what their network glue is for, right?
And I haven't seen Network Glue in action to see what it does. Now, Network Glue, that's an add-on product. Is that correct?
It is, yeah.
And I've heard not so great things, at least about value versus output.
That was my big thing. I was like, well, why would I, like, if I'm gonna use Network Glue, forget it. I'm just gonna pay for Alvik.
Right. I've heard that. And Dan mentions rapid fire tools. They're working on getting more integration into Glue. For those who are already paying for that tool, it's a great tool. I love rapid fire tools.
Is that a Network Detective?
Yes, Network Detective and 3 or 4 other tools along with Network Detective and IT Glue. I'm sorry, in rapid fire tools. Scott, Another client I had addressed your topic in a more complex fashion, where he created an IP address flexible asset. He only documented IPs that were actually in use, and he linked them to what was using it, why I was using it, impact, that type of thing. So when he went to the IP address flexible asset list, it would then list, and he could sort it by IP address or name, all the IPs in use that way. A bit of data entry, but it did show all the data that way.
Would that duplicate what he already had for each asset in the IP address field, or does it link it all together? Is that?
Well, the secret to glue is to always link it together, but that's something that's up to you to do. So yes, we ended up, after coming up with that, going back to his other flexible assets that he wanted to reference an IP address. We removed the text field that was the IP address, and we added a link field, a tag field instead to the IP address record. Who was it? What is Eric Anderson shared with us back in one of our very first webinars, beginning of the year. What was that called? Connection ratio, glue ratio? It was like number of records to number of references to show how connected all your items are versus just a list of data.
And apparently if you had a really high ratio, you got a cookie.
Cookies. I love cookies. Tracy, tell us a 5-second segue about your marketing campaign.
We sent cookies. We sent shock and awe boxes to specific clients that were located near potential clients that were located near existing clients. In those boxes, we included cookies, not one type, but 2 types of cookies, a gluten-full and a gluten-free option.
So
and drop those off. And yes, I got a hot hit off those boxes we sent out to banking clients.
So this cookies work. I don't know if that wasn't terribly related to IT glue, but yeah, that ratio was really cool to see. And I always recommend to clients 2 words in documentation and frankly life: necessary and sufficient. Those are kind of 2 opposites. Whenever you're documenting something, ask yourself, is this information even necessary when I'm looking at the documentation? Like some things you just have to be in the device to see anyways, or to even need it. And is it sufficient? Do you have enough data? So is it necessary to type the IP address in 2 places? No. But you need it, so link them whenever possible. Oh my goodness, I have fallen slack on the chat window.
Yeah.
Pro Alvic 1,000 times over network glue. I've heard that before. Alvic's also got great integration with Continuum. Jason says they offer a discount. I don't know who they is in this case. Kaseya, I think. Okay, Kaseya has a partnership with our tools as well. And Brian is pro gluten.
Hey, somebody's got to be.
I am also pro gluten. Or glutton.
I did learn something new about IT glue today. I've only used it for 2.5 years, and I learned something new kind of by accident. So if you're writing an article, like I was doing a step-by-step for onboarding a new managed service, I was doing another part of that documentation. And so yesterday I'd done like 4 steps. And I came in the office this morning, was sharing it with my service manager, and he looked and the steps were missing. And I was like, oh my God, I typed those in. I have never lost anything in glue before. I can't believe this, but it wasn't there. So I went back to my desk and I was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and put those steps back in. There's only 4 of them. And I went and I found the article, the article was there, but it was empty. And I hit edit and there were all my steps. And that's when I realized it saves it as you type, but until you hit publish, nobody else can see it.
So was it in cache or in IT glue server somewhere?
No, it saves it as you type. But publish means you share it with other people. So until you hit the publish button, others won't be able to see it. So when I went back into it, because it was my article, it showed the steps were missing. I hit published, and boom, we could all see it. So there's no save button. I've always thought publish was kind of a save button, but
I
it's
thought
not.
so too.
Nope, it's
Interesting.
not. So you
So
can
you just
type
left.
stuff in
So you
there.
just left the screen before?
I guess something, phone rang. I scrolled out, whatever,
That is kind of neat.
and I left it. And I closed it and closed everything for the night and came back, and it was still there.
One tip I can share, because I updated the client yesterday, pet peeve of mine is I love the fact that in ITDUG, if you copy the first part of the URL, it's pretty static. The URL will only change for a document or a flexible asset if you change its organization. So if you change folders, change the name, that URL is the same, which is great. So a lot of people will send links. Oh, here's a direct link, here's a direct link. The problem is you can't tell what the SOP is about until you click the link. Well, at least, and they were doing that habit within ITDUG. So if one document referenced another and they wanted a direct link in line, they would put the URL. Well, for those who don't know, I thought everybody knew, you can do the @ sign just like you do on Facebook and Instagram, @ and type the name of the SOP, and it will try to find it as you're typing. And once you find it, you click it, and then it hyperlinks the name of the SOP straight to the article. And when you click save, it'll automatically add it to the related docs tab. So tab, column, toolbar. So I've been trying to use it a lot more so I can link to documents in turn. A lot of times, as people get very developed in documentation, you begin to have too many documents. How do you find what's what? So typically I start creating master documents where, hey, this whole invoicing workflow, we wrote 8 SOPs in various steps so you can find them when you need them. However, I go back and then I write an overview, all the ways the invoices should flow, but most of it are links to other documents, putting them in an order or helping you find what you need when you need it.
And that's what I was doing. The onboarding of a new client was the master document I was working on yesterday.
My favorite.
Because it ties in so many different, is it an MSP client? Is it a break fix? There's a lot of if then else.
Well, like in client onboarding, you might want to create the company in Autotask or your PSA.
Yep.
But sometimes you want to create a company when you're not onboarding somebody. So it'd be nice to have that SOP separate.
Yep. Exactly.
Speaking of which, I am thinking of, since client onboarding is still the most popular thing I've ever done, both with videos, webinars, presentations, and such, I am thinking about doing an actual Carl Palachuk style class on client onboarding next year. Where we can do the deep dive, get the details, and help you actually set yours up as we go. But it's a lot of work, so more to come.
Yep.
Anybody else have questions on ITDUG or just tips or tricks to share? It's amazing how 5 seconds of silence online seems like an eternity. All right, well, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to share just 2 more slides as we wrap up. If you have other questions that pop in your head, interrupt. Let's ask them. Let's take care of them. That's what we're here for. Back to our slideshow. There's 2 slides left. One is what's next. How the heck did I do that?
Well, at least I'm not the only one.
Well, somehow I'm looking at my edit mode in PowerPoint versus my presentation mode, but I also had the presentation going. I don't even know how I did that. We are trying to do at least a monthly webinar for everybody, and we're trying to cover all of our different interest in groups. We did Visio a couple of times. We've done ITDUG a couple of times now. We've done professional presenters on a topic. We've done round tables. We've done 2 or 3 peers to present. We need more ideas. It's amazing that Tracy and I, only 10 months in, are like, oh, now what? Thinking of what to present next. And I might post this in the forum as well. But feel free to share ideas, especially if you guys have something you want to share. We'd love to hear from you. So 2019.10 would be next. I've been aiming for the last Wednesday of the month. About this time, it doesn't have to be. We can customize it for who's presenting or wants to attend. So you are being heard. Not a single one of these topics did Tracy and I invent. This is all suggested by somebody else. So feel free to weigh on that. I'd like to tell you guys, in case you see this name pop up, Sky Shaw is an intern. She's a senior at Columbia College in South Carolina. And she's got some marketing chops. So I'm going to be putting her in charge of some of the ITDUG events. Is what typically happens is I finally get it created a bit late, and then I forget to tell anybody about it besides posting it once. So somebody to help remind everybody so we can get more folks and more minds into the hive. So stay tuned for that. There will be a recording to this. I will send it to everybody who is registered. I see a chat, which I can't find whenever I want to find them. Hello, here it comes, just slow. Here's an idea from Dan, how to manage the document folder structure in the ITGLU SOPs. Well, speaking of which, Dan, we may cover that again, but
we have covered it.
EurekaProcess.com, if you'll click on the resources tab, just scroll down about a half page. All the old ITDUG webinars are there. The what structure should my documentation take was covered in there. If you'll also ping me afterwards, I also have my process library. I have, yeah, Brian, I think it was either number 1 or number 2. I forget which.
Yeah. Definitely
early on. It is still very high level, so maybe we could possibly dig deeper into documentation structure. Maybe we've learned and grown since then as well. But on that resources tab at EurekaProcess.com are the old webinars. So it's in there if you want to reference it. I also have a process that I offer for free from our library. I call it D05, but it's all of the flexible assets that I have documented. I also have one called the process, but I include where you should store your SOPs and in what structure you should store it. And should is a strong word. I have one idea on how I've done it in the past. Our contact info, both for the group, if you're not already a member of ITDUG, as well as my direct contact info is there. Any other questions before we adjourn?
I have an idea for a future one.
Uh-oh.
We should do one on Auvik.
Auvik.
The problem is Auvik has some really cool stuff in it, but I can't demo it because I'd have client stuff in there.
Right.
So I don't know if we could get maybe one of the reps involved, or maybe we don't want to get a vendor involved, which is fine because sometimes they can be super annoying. But Auvik does some cool documentation stuff, and there's a lot of things it does that a lot of people don't realize, like how it documents virtual environments is really pretty slick.
And even our group here today, I heard some Auvik fans. Hopefully, if we post an Auvik topic, you guys can help join in. Yeah, so let's float Auvik and document folder structure as well.
Yeah.
Just like we did for ITGLU today, maybe the automation, but tips and tricks for ITGLU. We could do tips and tricks for Auvik, a little share and tell.
Oh yeah, there's probably all kinds of things in there that I don't know about Auvik.
Or whine and complain. Maybe that's more in ITGLU's wheelhouse.
But I tell you what, I don't use rapid fire tools. I use Auvik.
Are those two? Do those two compete at all?
Not that way.
Okay, see, I thought Auvik was network mapping, right?
But I do. I use Auvik to map my network and help me do my network evals, and then I use my RMM to finish it off, and then I write my own reports.
All right, so Auvik is giving you the data you need to do your own analysis. So in that way, it is competing with why you spend your dollars there and not.
Oh yeah, but the info it gives back, it gives us a lot of troubleshooting stuff. And usually when we do our big network analysis, we're working with an internal IT, and we hand all that stuff to them, and they love it.
For a fee, right?
Well, yeah, those are really big. Yeah, those are 40 to 80-hour jobs. Yeah.
That's a whole other conversation.
Yep.
Dan makes an excellent point. Auvik competes against rapid fire tools, but rapid fire tools doesn't know that
That's
yet.
a good one. Yeah. Oh, I so use Auvik for it because I can turn it on for a month, run it for a month, and then turn it off.
Yeah.
And we throw it on a little nook and throw it in the network, and it just does its job.
What is the name of that chart type with overlapping circles? I always forget.
Oh,
A Venn diagram.
Venn diagram. There you go.
Thank you, Brian. I swear I thought of it before you wrote it. That's kind of like Auvik and Mapify Tools is that they definitely have some overlap, and they're competing with your dollars, obviously, but they also have their own unique places that they can do better jobs at. Like Brian mentions access to Active Directory. I love to show them, hey, you have all these usernames. I haven't been deactivated, haven't used the system in 30 days. Not a hard thing to fix, but your previous vendor didn't catch it.
Mm-hmm.
Dan's leveraging that Continuum to get discounts on both those tools.
Mm-hmm.
Continuum does have its advantages, absolutely. All right, guys, thank you all so much for your time. I have harvested your email addresses just so I can send you guys a follow-up to this meeting. It'll have a link to the recording once I have it posted. It does take me a few days to get that, and it may be early next week. And it will have what else in it? Tim, do you have a link I should provide in there?
For the plugin, not as of yet.
Okay. So I'll get the content in there and send it out to you guys, and then I'll get it posted on ITDUG as well as the website for easy reference. Thanks again. So thankful you guys participated. We filled up almost the whole hour, so I am super stoked with you. You guys rock.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you, Alan.
Take care.
Have a good one.